You kicking it up, Josh?
Robert, live.
We're live. We're live. All right, guys. Tonight we have one of the biggest and best shows we have ever done. We have the one and only legend, Nick Perry. Nick Perry has wholesaled hundreds of deals all over the country. Absolutely crushed it. He did $165,000 in assignment fees just last week in 1 week. So, and it's not like Nick has been doing this for 20 years. He started doing this full time 3 years ago. So tonight he's going to be walking us through the process, through what he did to go from zero to $165,000 in assignment fees per week. All here tonight. We're going to be starting with the beginning of the deal process, talking about marketing. We're going to move into negotiations, talk about transaction coordination, talk about dispositions, how to dispo in 44 different states. Everything here tonight. Once again, with me tonight, my co-host Josh Cohan. Josh, thanks so much for joining. Nick Perry, we got to kick this off in style. So I saw this video on Facebook, right? And you're balling out right now. Where are you right now? You're in Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah, I'm in Punta Cana.
So for people that are watching this, they're probably sitting in their office, living the 9-to-5 life, and you're chilling there on the beach, virtually wholesaling. Just absolutely killing it. So I saw this video. I wanted to share this video because I thought this was awesome. I shared it with Tarek El Musa's sales manager the other day. I sent it to him. I'm like, dude, this is how you build a sales team, right? Like you got to have those wins just to get everyone pumped up. So check this out. So here you are.
Dispositions. Congratulations. Oh my God.
Dropping stacks of cash like a boss.
Absolutely. Yo, let me just tell you. So those guys busted their ass. So I told them 165 is the goal. I had never seen a group of guys work so hard between the 3 and 5:30 hour Friday afternoon. Like you put those goals in front of them, and when you have a team goal like that for them to rally behind, it's incredible. And you know what? Like that showed me, like, hey, this is what these guys are capable of, and it showed them what they're capable of too. So now we're performing at an even higher level from hitting those goals.
Absolutely. You just fire them up. It's like you gotta celebrate those wins and just get people inspired. And then next week, maybe they're doing $200,000.
So they got a $500 bonus each. So I pulled out, it was $2,500 worth of tens and threw it at them. So they've got a three-peat right now. So they got a bonus on the line that if they hit it this week and then they hit it next week, it's a $2,500 bonus per rep. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to go grab more money. So it's going to be more insane next time.
Pretty soon, I'm going to come to your office. I know it's going to be like Wolf of Wall Street style. You're going to be standing there at the table. You get a Ferrari. You get a Ferrari. You get a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, man.
That's the plan.
I love it. Very Wolf of Wall Street moment. So, I mean, that's freaking awesome. I know you have one of the best acquisitions teams. You guys are closing, like 1 in 10 deals or 1 in 10 leads?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little higher than that. It fluctuates, but definitely, lower than 1 in 15, just because we're heavy on PPC. So, the leads that are coming to us are primo.
That's legendary because, I mean, the top teams, even the teams that are 100% PPC with the best PPC companies managing their leads, they're doing like 1 in 33 leads with like a good sales team. The bad sales teams are maybe like 1 in 40. But to be under 20 and under 15 is just absolutely insane. So we got to dive into that tonight. But also on Dispo, I mean, you've wholesaled in 44 different states. A lot of people, they're stuck to their one market. I was talking to Brian Sigmund this morning, and the thought of going into different markets was very intimidating. You think about, do we stay here in our local market in Charleston? Do we branch out? Like, it's very intimidating to branch out and branch into another market. So I want to jump into that with you as well. But why don't we start off with marketing? Can you tell us, how do you market? What channels do you use? Let's start there.
Yeah, no, first I gotta say something though. Yeah, I'm from Northern Virginia, so I know we're on DMV Deal Makers.
Yeah.
I'm from Fairfax. Went to Heritage High School in Leesburg. So what's up to everybody from DC, Maryland, and Virginia? Got to get that out of the way. I know my mom's watching, so hey, mom. But no, for marketing, we do heavy PPC. We've run the gauntlet of every single marketing channel that you can do: direct mail, RVM, SMS, all of it. PPC has been one of those channels that I've started on day one, and I've just got really good at it over the years. Just like a lot of people are really, really good at direct mail, and they're really, really good at, SMS. That's just kind of where I've spent so much time that I've become an expert on the, digital marketing. So that's my favorite channel, and that's what gets us the best results for us personally.
Yeah, I think there's a key insight here is that instead of trying to spread yourself thin, trying to do everything, because that's what a lot of amateurs do. They're like, I'm going to do yellow letters, I'm going to do driving for dollars, I'm going to this, and then you do everything poorly. It's much better to find one channel that you get some traction with and just double down on that, master that channel before moving into anything else. It sounds like you.
Yeah, because here's the thing: everything works, right? Direct mail works, SMS, RVM, all of it works. Cold calling works. But you got to figure out what resonates with you,
right?
And your company, and really dial that in to be the absolute best at it. And so that's what I've strived to do with pay-per-click and online advertising.
Nick, thanks for joining the show tonight. Josh Cohen here. So what markets are you currently doing PPC in?
The United States of America.
Oh, wow.
U.S.
So what kind of marketing budget are you throwing at the U.S. right now?
I'll spend like 60 to 80K a month. It's going up. I'm probably going to spend 80K this month, easy. I'm spending like on digital advertising $3,000 to $5,000 a day.
Yeah.
So 3 to 5K a day across the entire U.S. How many leads does that bring you on average per day?
We'll get usually between like 40 and 60 leads a day, but because I'm starting to increase the marketing spend like up to 80, we should easily, be able to dial that up by another, 25 to 30%. So,
wow.
Yeah. One thing, I've seen your pay-per-click account. You've got a few of them, but I've seen them. And the crazy impressive thing about Nick's pay-per-click account, your cost, can I say what your cost per lead is?
Yeah, you can go check it now. It's not as impressive anymore, but
you probably you scale up and goes up. But last time I checked, it was like $65.
Yeah,
insane.
Average across the whole country.
Right. It's getting higher. But the algorithm fluctuates. Like right now, I'm not very happy with PPC. But you know what? It goes in waves. I've been in this position before, where all the cost per lead will get out of control. You do everything you can to, get it back under control. And, the algorithm, it chooses to screw you sometimes, and sometimes the algorithm is in your favor. So, next week it could be, could be less, but, it's just one of those things you have to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing with PPC, it can get away from you pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen guys blow up through $5,000 in a day, and that's like their budget for the month. And they don't those bids in, they click go, and they don't realize you can blow that so fast. So
absolutely.
Now that's a really hard channel to get into, right? Like PPC, you got to really know your shit. What I found interesting about you is you don't hire a company to do it; you do it yourself, right?
Yeah. Anytime I've ever outsourced it to an agency, it's not been good. I've always brought it back in house.
Yeah.
So I started doing it in 2014 primarily because I had a full-time job and I needed just a passive. What's going to be the easiest way? I just want my thought was I just want leads coming into my website, and then I can have a VA call them. It just made more sense to me because I did PPC. I was working at Indeed managing PPC accounts, so I already had an idea of how to do PPC. And then I learned from Dan Barrett. I basically stalked him down before he was, really on the map with AdWords nerds, and he had a lot of clients. I knew he was really good at managing REI PPC. So I drove to Connecticut and New York when I was on a work trip one time. I snuck away from a work trip to go meet him in Connecticut. I bought him a bunch of beers, and I was like, dude, I'm going to pay you. I need you to mentor me on PPC. So he was the one that gave me the foundation of my knowledge to go out and do it myself. And then, I've had his team manage it. I've had other teams manage it, but that's one thing that I actually like doing it. So yeah. And I feel like I can be a little bit more hands-on with it than, an agency can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those agencies are going to sign you up, and then sell you on the dream, and then like ship it out. Usually it's shipped overseas to India or Ukraine or Russia. Low cost labor guys are managing it, checking it once per week maybe, and you just can't get the results if you. I mean, assuming you know how to do it yourself. But I love the hustle there, like the hustle, like skip down on the work trip, like go over to this guy's house, like, hey, teach me how to do this. I mean, that's the kind of hustle that really sets the amateurs from the pros apart in this space. I love that example of you just going the extra mile to just get it done.
I think that's what it takes in any business that you're in. You know, you got to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. So
the PPC, I'm not a whole lot familiar with it, but does your PPC drive traffic to like a landing page, or does it drive traffic to your website? What does the flow look like?
Yeah, so I've got a couple landing pages, but the one that's working out really well right now is the investor lift one. So Robert's got, yeah, and the reason is because it's the site. It's the fastest site I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
in terms of like page speed loading, it's freaking ridiculous. And then the UI, it just gets a crazy conversion rate. It's kind of like the OfferPad open door style landing page, which is it funnels people right through the process. And it's got a lot of back end features that I like as well with it. So we use that one, and then I have like a WordPress site that's built as well. That it's kind of like my legacy site. So I've been transitioning more over to using the Investor Lift platform because it is starting to get better results, and it's nice to have two landing pages, but I have traffic going to both of them.
Yeah. Thanks for the plug, by the way.
For sure, man. Yeah.
I mean, and there's a couple of things that we did on that page that make it work really well. Like, I think most people, when they get in the space, they get their investor care page, right? Like that's how like everyone starts out. Mm-hmm. Now, investor care is really good for SEO, right? Because it's programmed for computers. It's got tons of text and words all over it to try to get you showing up in the search results higher. But when you're doing PPC, it doesn't make sense to have a page like that, right? Mm-hmm. Actual people spend usually less than 3 seconds on a page before skipping and going to the next one. So you got to have just like very simple, beautiful structured page, number one. Not a ton of text, just simple headlines, calls to action, things like that. But number two is like load time. Like most people don't know this, but you can lose, like based on your load time, you can lose like, I think like 50% of your traffic in the first 5 or 6 seconds of load time. And the average website out there is loading in like 7 seconds or something on the average device in America. We always check our phones from our super high speed internet, but like the average device, a distressed seller that's maybe out there in the boonies with not a good connection, like load time is going to lose you a ton of that traffic. So we focus on that. We focus on keeping it simple, and then just doing small little things. Like you have an image uploader on your lead form that we turned on for you, where people can take pictures of their house and that gets sent right into your team. And like, I mean, how valuable is that for your sales guys?
It saves a lot of time. And especially if you can tell them, just go back on the site and you can upload them directly to there. It makes it so much easier than them like texting the acquisition manager a bunch of pictures or trying to email the acquisition manager a bunch of pictures. That's always a nightmare when you get an inbox full with like 50 attachments, or you got a text message thread full of, a long list of photos, right? Yeah. Nobody likes that. So you kind of solve the problem there, which has been very helpful.
Awesome. Yeah. And there's a ton of other cool things. We'll say that for another. That's a whole nother.
So you guys are advertising this landing page, basically the same landing page nationwide. There's no change in verbiage. It's not
no, we just, I want to have the best landing pages, and I just want to go all in on there. I'm not trying to get fancy and, do a state specific or region specific landing page. Everything goes to one landing page.
Interesting. Wow. And I know Robert's a scientist. So did you guys figure out sort of what message is speaking to people right now in this current situation?
I always find it's interesting. It's not really like COVID related or anything like that, but being able to leave stuff behind, most people don't like hit on that benefit enough. But like I did a deal today, $47,000 assignment fee like that, sold in 10 offers in 15 minutes through Investor Lift. And I mean, the reason why the guy's like, investors have been reaching out to me for 10 years. But in our text message we sent him, we said, you can leave anything behind. He didn't realize that. Everyone else was just like cash offer, cash offer, cash offer. He's like, when I hear cash offer, I'm thinking suitcase of cash. Like, that sounds super scary. Like, hey, we want to buy your house as is. You don't have to do any repairs and you can leave anything behind. He's like, what, really? And then boom, like a few days later, I maybe spent I drove to the house once. My wife actually got the deal just texting. She texted a couple days, maybe like a few hundred texts. And then we put on investor lift, 15 minutes, 10 offers, 5 of them at buy it now, So I think in the landing page, we try to hit on some of those things, like leave anything behind, things like that. But just having like good imagery and stuff, I find works out pretty well as well.
So going back to the process, so we're going through that whole deal cycle. And by the way, Nick, I've heard you say stuff that I've never heard other investors even talk about. I think we'll get to some of that tonight. But you're getting 40, 50, 60 leads a day. How many acquisitions people do you need to cover that type of lead flow?
So I have 3 senior acquisitions and 3 junior acquisitions. I run my sales department like a lot of like large sales organizations run it, where we have like BDRs and closers, right? So we have basically the leads come into our junior acquisitions who get on the phone with them immediately. Like if you submit a lead on my website during business hours, you're going to get a call within probably 45 seconds max.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Because I've got junior acquisitions. Their job is just to get on the phone with these people, make first point of contact, figure out, do they have a house to sell? When do they want to sell it? And pass it live transferred over to our senior acquisitions. So their job is to keep those guys on the phone all day long. So my senior acquisitions, they're taking live transfers in from our junior department, and they're just closing deals. So they don't get up from their desk very much. Our juniors are hustlers too, and they just keeping them on the phones all day long.
I love it.
We got to step up back a minute, because so I heard a video of you last week and you're saying like, and this is probably for a lot of folks in the community tonight, if you're doing the same thing today that you were 5 years ago, there's something wrong with either yourself or the business. I heard you talk about how you just blew up your marketing overnight. You blew up your marketing budget overnight. You went from 5K to whatever it was, 50 or 80K. What was sort of the aha moment? Because there's a lot of us out here that we're doing the same thing we were 5 years ago today, and we can't do that 80K budget.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the point where I got back from a mastermind. I was already doing well in wholesaling, but I was kind of at that, capping out around that 4 deal a month mark. And I was like, I know my KPIs. If I spend X, I'll get Y in return in, 60 to 90 days. That's about the, cycle, the sales cycle of what this business is, from the time you spend money to the time you get it back.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of 0% interest credit cards that I got from Funding Row.
Love it.
And I was like, well, I have all this 0% interest credit cards. I'm just going to load it up because I do PPC. It was real easy for me to just throw those cards on file. And so I went ham. I just went ahead and up all my marketing budgets. I liquidated some of those cards to, open an office, hire on additional staff. So I front loaded a bunch of my expenses on 0% interest credit cards, and lo and behold, the math worked out, and I was able to repay those cards. So it's not for, I wouldn't suggest that for somebody just coming into the business, but if you're kind of stuck at that, 2 to 4 deals, and that you just need to put this thing, give it a shot in the arm. Yeah, that's a easy way to scale your business.
I love that. Free debt, free debt, high risk,
0%. And you get all the points.
I mean, on a wholesale, you can usually get $5, $6 back for every dollar spent if you do it right? If you're doing things properly. So I mean, most people are probably watching this. They're like, "What the hell is he thinking? That's insane." But me hearing that, I'm like, "That is brilliant financing, brilliant."
Yeah, I went from spending I think it was 8, 15, 20K in expenses a month, and then I went 110K.
Wow.
Within a month, and then I'd never really looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that when you did that transaction, it was I know. Okay, so just background on you. Do you want to give a little bit of your background on like where you started? I know you started in Fairfax area, personal training. Do you want to give us kind of that timeline of where you got started and how you ended up where you are right now?
Yeah, grew up in Northern Virginia. Barely made it out of high school. Grew up in Leesburg, so got in a lot of trouble in Leesburg. Got arrested a bunch of times. I was over in Northern Virginia. I became a personal trainer, and I did really well at that. And I just realized I was kind of getting to the point in my life where I wasn't going to really be able to scale that the way I wanted to. Additionally, I was tired of living in Northern Virginia. You guys know how it is. You live there. It's cold 9 months of the year. Traffic on Route 7 and 66. I grew up there. I got in too much trouble there. So I was like, you know what? I can sign another lease in Virginia and maybe go do like, what my stepfather does is he's in the CIA. I could have gone into the CIA or went to Booz Allen like all my friends did and become a government contractor. Or I can just go take a risk and move out to a city that I love. I visited Austin once and really, really liked it. So rather than signing another lease in Nova, I was going to go to Clarendon, but I was like, screw it. I'm moving. I'm just going to take what I've got and put it in the back of my beater Mazda 3 and get as close to downtown Austin as I can for $1,000 a month. And so that's what I did. I drove down there, no furniture, basically some bags of clothes, and I had no plan. I didn't know a soul in Austin. So I whipped out my laptop. I'm searching for jobs. I come across videos on like wholesale and real estate, and something clicked. It really just made sense to me. I wanted to be my own boss when I moved down there, but I came across wholesaling and I was running out of money quick, right? So, I went down there with $7,000. So you guys know how fast $7,000 goes in the real world.
Real quick.
Nobody really wanted to hire me.
Sure.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to hire me at the time. I'm like writing handwritten letters on my kitchen table, that I found out by the dumpster, and like just trying to make this work. And also I knew I needed to get a job. So I was fortunate that somebody that I met got me in the door at Indeed for an interview, and they took a flyer on me. And then from there, I was able to really hit the ground running. Indeed's a world-class sales organization. So I went from like about to get evicted from my apartment to like President's Club, Top Gun at Indeed, making like $225, $250 a year there. And what I did is I never lost that dream of wanting to be an entrepreneur. So I just took all my money and all my time at night and on the weekends and just funneled it into the real estate investing dream. So, after a year and a half of doing that, I was able to go, full time, and kind of the rest is history from there.
Wow. And now can you share how long it took to get your first sale? Because a lot of people, they come in, like I would say that there's probably a 99% failure rate in this business, right? People, they see the TV shows online, they see Target making all this money, right? And then they're like, hey, I'm going to do this. And they go to like some real estate seminar and they quit their job or whatever. And then they do it for like 4 weeks. And they're like, oh, I didn't get anything. And they quit. Can you share?
Yeah, man, it was a rough road for me.
CL?
It was a rough road. So it took me 11 months. And this wasn't like a half-ass effort either. This is like staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning, busting your ass, getting up early, spending every, weekend going to appointments, talking to sellers all day, every day, getting like struck out constantly. Like, I think I went on like 104 appointments before I got my first deal.
Yeah.
But I was horrible at it. Like Indeed really got me into becoming a really good salesperson. I'm naturally good at talking to people. I was good and personable, but I didn't have that closing mentality. I didn't know how to really close deals. And so Indeed taught me that, but it took me 11 months and 104 appointments to get my first deal.
Wow.
And I just never stopped. I just had that dog mentality. You know what I mean? Like,
you got to have that.
It's going to have to kill me. It's going to have to kill me. I'm not stopping.
So there's something that's really interesting here. And I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say, is like when you go to these real estate seminars, right? You meet other people and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to start becoming real estate investors. Maybe they're like super passive or like sometimes you just meet someone, like if you've been in this business, you know this business is all about sales and marketing, right? And people that come in that don't have the sales skills, they just get crushed, right? They just waste their time. And sometimes you go to these seminars and you meet people and you're like, man, I feel bad for this person because they have no chance of closing a deal anytime in the next 12 months. You know, like maybe they get lucky, they can close something down the road. Eventually, if just something falls into their lap, but they're not going to be doing $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million a month in sign-up fees. So what's interesting is like it sounds like you were like kind of like stuck, like, to be honest, sucking at sales for a few months. You get this job at Indeed. Now you're at like a world-class sales organization. You're learning how they do everything. Then you take that, you apply it to this business and blow the roof off. Did I get that correct? Is
100%, dude. I still apply a lot of the same frameworks that Indeed uses in their business to my business in particular. Like, every day, where a lot of the principles that are in my business came from Indeed. Like, they're one of the top sales organizations in the United States. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, I was able to take a lot from their standard operating procedures, and it works just as well for what we're doing too.
Awesome.
Guys, we're live on Dealmaker Nation tonight with the most successful virtual wholesaler in the country, Nick Perry. If you got a question, post it up. The content tonight is fantastic. Nick, when did the transition happen from regular wholesaling to virtual wholesaling?
So, Austin's a pretty tough market, right? I was spending a lot of money on lead generation in Austin. Cost per lead is through the roof there. Additionally, it's just a tough market in terms of wholesale. Cost per deal is super high there. And so I started diversifying into like San Antonio and Houston and things like that. And I would basically set the appointments over the phone and then drive there. So I'd schedule a bunch of appointments during the week, and then I would spend my weekends in like Houston and San Antonio. I'd put myself up in a hotel and close some appointments on Saturday, close a couple more on Sunday, drive home with some contracts Sunday evening. And that's kind of how I ran my life for a little while. But then I just was starting to run out of time, so I started closing them over the phone. And so I was like, well, if doing them in Houston or San Antonio, then like, why can't I do them in other places? And obviously, the first thing that popped in my mind is like, well, you don't know the market, you don't have the buyers. So, I kind of figured my way around that. And we were also getting a lot of leads in other places because I was crushing it on SEO.
Yeah.
I spent so much time, working on my SEO in 2015 to 2017, and we're doing really well nationally. But my goal was to try to get leads in, Texas. But I was getting the opposite effect. I'm getting a ton of leads, but everywhere else that I don't want them. Right. And so I was, me and my COO, who he started with me a while back. He was like, let's just take a shot at one of these deals. And so we locked one up. I think it was in like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and made 12 or 15K on it. And then
you're like, wow, this works. Yeah,
it worked.
The first time you do that, you're like, holy shit! I never actually visited that property. I just was on my phone and my computer, and I just made $12,000 out of thin air.
Correct.
So you got to walk us through this, because I know personally so many people that just get wrapped around the axle with the whole concept of virtual wholesaling. Can you sort of explain to our viewers tonight, like, you got a seller in Florida, your office is in Texas. How does that conversation look, from first phone call to sort of closing the deal to, selling the deal?
It's no different than the way you're doing it right now, right? Mm-hmm. So you just treat it like a normal seller lead. If they ask, hey, they'll ask all the time, hey, where are you guys at? We're in Austin, but we buy properties nationwide. And then right back to the, conversation at hand. And we don't get any pushback on that really whatsoever. Sometimes, you'll have local competition and things like that, but then we lean on, other things. But, we're just treating it like a normal lead. Once we have the once we have the seller on the phone, we figure out that they're going to be in a certain range. We'll say, hey, Are you going to be in front of your email here in the next 10 to 15 minutes?
Mhm.
And I'm going to see if I can get approval from my underwriter. I really don't know if he's going to say yes or, but I'm going to go to bat for you. Yeah, that kind of approach. Our senior acquisitions, they're never the decision makers. They are, but they never act like they're decision
Right. That's key. You have to do that. You have to do that all day long. I say, I got to go to the car. I got to talk to Tarek, see if I can get his approval. I sit in the car and I just like watch a YouTube video.
Exactly.
Later.
Right. They'll go get a cup of coffee, whatever, and then they'll type up the DocuSign, and they'll get back on the phone and say, hey, are you in front of your email? You always want to make sure that they're in front of their email, because the fastest way to get ghosted and shopped around is to send somebody a contract and not have them captive in front of you. Because what are they going to do? They're going to look at it. They're going to look at it. They're going to think about it, and then they're going to ghost. So you never send a contract to a seller until you've got them on the phone.
This is huge, guys. If you're watching this, this is so huge. I'll tell you how huge this is. I lost $100,000 last week screwing up on this. Okay, I wasn't doing it virtually, but when you're doing appointments, what you got to do is you got to have what they call an upfront contract. You got to say, if I were to give you a price that was acceptable for you today, would you sign the contract today? If they say no, if they say they're not ready, do not give them, if it's a hot lead, do not give them an offer. Do not give them a contract. Don't give them anything. Just say, hey, we have so many people calling us every day. We can only give offers once someone's ready to sell. Because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to shop it to someone else. So I had this house about a mile away from here, and I should have made $100,000 assignment fee. The seller was ready to sell. I go to the house and I'm like, it's like ARV 920, and I get a price agreement at 630. Okay, so huge spread on that thing. And then she's like almost ready to sign, and then she's like, I gotta pray about it. And I'm like, thinking Grant Cardone, what would Grant Cardone do here? I'm like, okay, let's pray about it together. How's that sound? Right. Like, it's like, oh, I gotta get approval from my wife. Okay, let's call her right now. Like, that's what you got to do in sales. You got to go that extra mile. But anyway, so I wasn't able to get her to sign on the spot. I didn't do that for an agreement. The next day, she takes my contract. She runs to the neighbor and gets 700. My deal's blown up.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way many times. So I feel your pain. I learned from mistakes. I'm hard headed, so I've learned pretty much everything the hard way, unfortunately.
So the same thing applies on the phones, is what you're saying. Like, make sure they're ready to sell before giving them that number.
Right. We'll give them an offer range. We'll say, hey, I think our underwriter is probably going to be between 150 and 160. If I can get him there, would you be willing to move forward today? Once you have that verbal commit, then it's all right, great. Well, I'm going to go see. I really don't know if we can. I'm going to try, but I don't. It's going to be a long shot. But you just stage it up for the next call. Will you be in front of your email in the next 10 to 15 minutes? If they say no, I'm at work or whatever, I'm not getting off until 6 p.m. All right, well, I'll call you at 6 p.m. then.
Yeah.
You never send anything until you've got them back on the phone.
So
you always want a marination period too. You don't want to do it too quick, because if you're like, okay, can I call you back in 5 minutes? They smell they smell that on you, and then you're going to end up, they're going to pull back.
Yeah.
So that's how, we've been very successful. And, our guys are just really, really good. They're hard workers. They're constantly learning. We do trainings every single week. So our number one core value in our business is never ending improvement.
Yeah.
So we're always taking a close look on where can we improve? Can we get that extra edge?
Love it.
So you get the deal under contract. You're still virtual. Can you sort of talk about what comes next? Because you're not in Florida. You're buying this house in Florida. You're in Texas.
Yeah. So next step in the process is we'll tell the seller. We'll say, all right, next step in the process is I'm going to transfer it to our client care coordinator. That's our dispositions, our client care coordinator, and they'll walk you through the next steps I'm going to get him on the phone right now. So we actually do a live transfer to our dispositions, and then our dispositions will get on the phone and, hey, Mr. Seller, yeah, thank you so much. I just want to verify your property address. You start building a little bit of rapport with them. Okay, great. So next step in the process, in order for us to move forward, our underwriter requires that we have photos on file. Can you get some photos sent over to me as soon as we get off the phone? That way we can get that file updated. And once we have that, we'll be able to actually send our partners out there to, make sure that the property condition matches the photos. We didn't miss anything. And then from there, we'll be going to closing.
Nice.
That's pretty much the conversation.
Okay, now on photos, this is a big one, actually. I was talking to Brian Sigmund about this morning. He's like, how do I get photos? So you try to get them from the seller. You don't try to send someone out. You try to get them.
No, it's a hot mess. You never want to try to send somebody out unless you absolutely have to. Like if grandma's got a flip phone and she doesn't know how to use it, or it's an absentee owner that can't get to the property, whatever. You want to have the seller just do it for you. We don't need professional photography for these cash buyers to say yes or no. We're not listing these properties, on the MLS.
Now, the reason to do that, is that because it's cheaper and easier to get the seller to do it, or is it because it's just logistic nightmare to have a contract photographer go out there?
All the above. It's a logistic nightmare, because we know how to. We can get it done. It's not that big of a pain, but it's still a pain. It's an extra link in the chain. We've had the handyman that we sent out there to take pictures flirting with the seller, and then the seller's getting freaked out. It's just one more thing to have to do and have to worry about. You want to streamline this process as much as humanly possible.
Okay,
there's already so much going against you. You just want to.
So what is the process? Do you give them your investor lift landing page link and just say, hey, go here, click on this, and then shoot the photos?
Give them the investor lift landing page link, or we'll just, if the way we were doing it works as well, is we have a Google Voice number, and we'll get them to send the photos to Google Voice. That way, because if you get them to send them to your cell phone or email, it's a hot mess when they come in, right? So when they come into Google Voice, you can log on that on your laptop, and it's easy to just download those photos from Google Voice.
Got you. So it's already on the computer. You just download, put it on the posting, and go from there.
So tell the sellers just send the photos to your Google Voice.
Now, I think I don't know if I heard this right, but I think I was talking to someone who was following you, and he said that you guys sometimes do like Zoom or Facebook Lives with sellers and record them and use that as the video. Do you guys do that right now? Have you done that in the past? How's that work?
We have, we've done it a few times before. It's not really the most popular option. People don't really like showing their face over Zoom and FaceTime. I mean, some people do. It depends on your personality type. We've done it a handful of times and it's worked, but it's not been something that's like, oh, this is so great. We need to start, really pushing this forward. It hasn't been anything like groundbreaking there.
Makes sense.
It works though. I mean,
so,
you can do that.
So like typically it sounds like you don't have a video tour. It's strictly photos typically.
Yeah, we'll request video as well. We'll tell them, hey, if you can get 1 to 2 pictures at each room for me, open up the blinds, turn the lights on, and get wide angle, horizontal photos. And then just take a couple pictures out front and out back, so we can see the full front and back of the house. And then basically the only other thing that would be really helpful, so we don't have to keep going in and out of there to verify stuff, is if you can just take like a 2-minute walkthrough, just start at the front door and then just walk through each room, kind of like you would be given a house tour. That's going to help us out tremendously, because I want to get this done as quickly as possible for you. That way we don't need to send people back and forth. They're missing things. This will make things go much faster. So you sell it as a benefit to them.
Yeah.
So when you're sending these pics and the property description out to your buyers list, how many of your buyers actually want to go inside the property? How many just buy it based on the photos?
Most of them want to go inside of the property.
Okay.
I mean, we do have buyers. I've got buyers, like we have this one guy, he's in California, he's out by you, somewhere in San Diego, and he buys stuff all over the nation. I swear he goes on your website that you built, and he's got that thing like he'll call us. He must check it like 5 times a day.
Oh yeah.
He'll call us like as soon as we post something, and he'd be like, "Yo, I want that one." He doesn't send anybody out there. The guy's just loaded. He's retired, and I don't know we still don't understand his buying criteria. He'll buy a mansion one day and then a shack the next.
It's great. It's LA, man. Those LA deals are so hot. Like, I mean, I posted one today. Actually, I posted it last night and I sent it to like just a small subset of my buyers list to kind of fill it out. And someone grabbed it right away at buy now. And I was like, whoa, I didn't think I was going to buy it now on this thing. And then they called me this morning. They were like, because the buy it now was like really tight profit margin. Like we're talking, like I'm making more on my assignment than they are on their flip for sure. So then we blasted out through Investor Lift this morning. And within like an hour, we had 10 offers, sight unseen, ready to like submit their proof of funds in EMD, ready to go. Like,
yeah, if it's a really smoking deal, or if it's you get just an out-of-state buyer that like that frequents your website. A lot of times they'll buy sight unseen, but 90%, 95% of the people are going to want to actually go out to the property and see it.
Yeah. Now, okay, I'm going to ask you one thing. I don't know if we can talk about this on the show or not, but you have the most epic buyers list in the country, other than mine, because I have everyone's all combined, but you have the biggest I've ever seen someone build. Can you share with us how many buyers you have on your buyers list?
Dude, I don't even know. You know better than I do. I don't know. Yeah, tell me. I don't even know how many buyers.
I scrubbed a lot of them out, the ones that were like not active and like BS emails and stuff. I think you had like 3 million when we started. And then after us cleaning up, I think you have like 1.7 to 1.9 million, somewhere in there.
Dude, that's rookie note. I thought I had like 5 million. I need to
duplicates. I thought you had 5 million at first when I looked at it.
Yeah.
But then we duped it, and because people buy in different states, all those national buyers that throw the numbers up.
Right.
Growing, like your numbers every week. There's so many people signing up for your deal site. So many people subscribing to you. Actually, on the live chat right now, someone's saying, "How can I get on your buyers list? Do you want to?" Just
put the link. Just put the link in the chat. They can check it out anytime.
Awesome. So let me. Actually, Josh, it's probably better if you share.
What's the link?
It's
cashdealsconnect.com.
Say that again.
Cashdealsconnect.com.
So that brings up another question. So let's say it's a buyer who does want to go in. Who's letting that buyer or buyers into the property?
You just have to be able to set the precedent with the buyer and control the situation. So we tell the buyer at the onset, we'll just say, hey, look, obviously it's a distressed property. We've got it under contract with a memorandum of option. That way you don't need to worry about anybody, going in behind you. But do me a favor, once you go in there, if you got any questions on price or anything, just direct them towards me. And we just straight up with it. Like we try to vet out our buyers from, being snakes up front. And we'll just tell them straight up, we've got the property basically tied up, titles clouded. You're not going behind us on this one, really. And we say it in a nice way like that, like, hey, we've got the property under contract with a memo, so you don't have to worry about anybody going behind you, even though we're basically telling you don't try to go behind us.
So the sellers there at this meeting, and there could be like
so we tell them they're our partners, right? So we'll say, hey, look, you're representing us, on our behalf. So when you go there, this lady's nice enough to open up the house for you. Just get in, do what you need to do, and then once you get back out to the car, give me a call. And we tell them that because obviously we want to know when they leave that appointment, but that's also your opportunity to say, hey, what'd you think, right? And then kind of start going into the next steps on the property.
I'm assuming if there's like a tenant there, the tenant lets them in, and if it's vacant, then who lets them in if it's a vacant property?
If it's vacant, if there's we need to get a key on premises, or if a neighbor's got a key, whatever, like our dispositions, they're professionals. This is all they do all day long is coordinate logistics on all this stuff, access, photos, pull into the list. We've been through so many different scenarios that it's just normal clockwork to us at this point.
Okay, so I got a question for you. There's one group of wholesalers who tries to kind of keep it undercover that have them wholesaling because they're like, hey, if I tell people I'm wholesaling, this just creates objections. And like, at the end of the day, the person just wants their number. They want to close. As long as you can deliver that, you deliver that. Then there's another group of wholesalers who's like, hey, I just tell people I'm wholesaling the deal. I tell them exactly what I'm doing. Obviously, that seems more transparent, but at the same time, you can like confuse sellers and lose deals because they might feel like they're getting screwed by you or whatever.
No, we just tell them they're our partners. We're national, so we tell the seller. We just tell the sellers, hey, these are our partners. Obviously, we're there. We're not there locally. These are the people that are actually going to be fixing up the house.
Yeah.
So we're partnering with them. They don't need to know we're wholesaling and this is how we're doing the contract. They're our partners essentially. They're the ones that are fixing up the house. So you're not lying to them.
Yeah, you say this is my partner. They're the ones doing the renovation.
Correct. Yeah.
Just keep it.
And they obviously have to be on board with the renovation and the cost and be comfortable with it. And as long as they give thumbs up, then we're going to closing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's great for any of the wholesalers out there that are trying to get into virtual or any wholesaling. Like just using that phrase, hey, this is my partner. They're going to be handling the renovation. That's the way to do it. Sounds like.
Yep.
So that brings up another question. So you're operating in all these different markets. What is your methodology for sort of computing the offer price? Are you looking at what other people pay, or is it more sophisticated than that?
It is. I mean, yes, it is more sophisticated than that because, when we first started doing nationwide, we're dropping probably 3 out of 5 contracts that we bring in, right? That's much lower now. We close 75% of the transactions. Wow. Usually, if something falls apart now, it's a buyer, seller, or title issue.
Yeah,
we're really good at our comps, but that took 3 years of screwing it up.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't just like we came up with some magical formula or anything like that. We just know all these different markets now. We understand demographics and how to evaluate a deal and what we can offer in a city like say Northern Virginia versus St. Louis, right? 2 completely different places. Or even like DC versus Baltimore, right?
Huge.
Very different.
Huge.
Right? Like everybody in my office, I guarantee you, we all know U.S. geography better than any of our geography teachers back in high school. I promise you. Yeah.
I love it.
We know all these little sub-markets and podunk towns. It's interesting.
Would you say like a majority of your buyers are buy and holders, or are they flippers, or what kind of buyers are these folks in general?
We have a lot of it's a combination, right? Because it depends on the property. We get a lot of great properties for burr, and then we have a lot of great properties that are flips. So it really depends. If I had to say what do we have a great amount of, it's flips. Like we have flippers that are renovating and then selling, taking it down with hard money, that kind of thing. But we do have quite a bit of investors that are doing like the burst strategy as well.
Got it. So you're saying your formula sort of changes based on the market, essentially?
Correct. Because you can't offer 70% minus repairs, and some of these markets, a lot of these buyers want to be 65, right?
Right.
But then there's some places where it's 80 cents. Yeah. And if you don't understand that, then you're going to lose a lot of contracts. So over time, we've just got really, really good about being able to evaluate markets based on not only sold comparables, but we look at for sales a lot too. Like how many properties are listed right now versus how many are sold.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at a lot of those kind of trends when we're evaluating new places.
Wow. So when you say you screwed it up for a long time, you're saying that basically you it took a while to figure that out, like what people were buying at, what people were selling at, and kind of get into that.
And this is big shout out to Brandon, who's my COO, because he's been front lines on this since day one. He has really been the one that's, figured this out to where we had now, where we're pretty much spot on anywhere in the U.S. And it didn't happen overnight, but like he'll comp a property better than, he'll get on the phone with a realtor in a podunk town on a property we just locked up and be able to battle with them on what the comps are and see how it works. So
Brandon, position legend. Love it. Brandon.
It comes from experience. It's, if you know how to comp properties, that's a start. But if you're going to try to start going virtually and nationwide and all that, a lot of it's experience.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you because there's a few different Investor Lift teams that are watching this right now. We just introduced flip data on Investor Lift, showing you every single flip across the country, what people bought it for, what people sold it for, how much they paid for it, at hold time, buying time, all of that, financing. So now you go into a deal this last deal that I just got today, where I made like $47,000 off of it. The seller was stuck at $400,000. He was like, I'm not budging off of $400,000. Well, his asking price was $500. I'm like, how did you come up with that? He's like, the guy over there sold for $550, $514 over there, $530. I'm like, yeah, well, those are rented like updated houses. Your house needs $100K of work, really at $50, but. And he's like, well, okay, well then $400,000, that's it. Not going any lower. And like I'm at 365 is kind of like my max on this thing where I need to be at. And it's funny, he would like not budge off of 400,000. He was like, you guys can fuck off. He's like, dude, I've been to prison. I've done hard time. I've seen my neighbor's house sell. I can see a bullshit. Don't try to bullshit me. So I run out to the car, load up Investor Lift on my Tesla. I look at the 3-1 comps in the area. I come back to him. I'm like, look, if you want to get 400,000, yeah, you can do that with the realtor, but then you have to do repairs, blah, 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 all this. I'm a cash is offer. With a cash is offer, here's the three in your area that have sold. One sold for 340, one sold for 350, one sold for 360. I'm going to offer you 364,000 higher than anyone else is going to pay you for this. It also is a mind switch. He wasn't thinking like, hey, this guy's trying to screw me, right? That's what he was thinking. He's thinking this guy's trying to screw me. Now he's thinking, okay, that's a fair offer because this cash is. He just showed me 3 of my neighbors' houses just sold for less than what he's offering. He's actually overpaying for my property. It was just a mind shift. He said, okay, let's sign. So
yeah, we do that all the time, and especially with that data, being able to have that readily accessible, and you can use that on the phone. We'll do that. So we use what we anchor price them all the time. We'll find the lowest, like crappiest house comp we can. Yeah. And then we'll be like, yeah, I'm just looking at some comps in the area. I see this one over on 123 Main Street. You know where that is? It's a couple streets over. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. So that one, the same thing, 3-bedroom one for $40K. And then you just kind of want to get a temperature check. If they're like, what the, they freak out. You're like, no, I mean, that's not what we're going to pay you. I'm just telling you what these properties are selling for. But then they've already got that anchored in their mind. And damn well you can be at 70 or whatever. And then you're like, I see some that are selling for 50, 55. I see one that sold for, 65. So, where do you think we need to be? So we're able to see that on acquisitions and give them real-time examples. And then on dispositions, it's incredible. Who the buyers are doing those flips there. I mean, everybody thinks they need this massive buyers list. It's so cool. I got millions of buyers, but really that's kind of a crux. I'm getting my guys away from working harder to working smarter, right? So let's figure out who is actually purchasing there and pick up the phone and have a conversation. And we've been crushing it with being able to just do that, whether it's reaching out to the LLC owner directly, or if it's calling the realtor that represented the investor on the flip. Yeah. I mean, that's a layup for any of those realtors that have represented that investor, right? All they've got to pretty much, and if you tell them you'll pay them the commission, they're going to make that call, any day of the week. So
you're getting away from doing these mass blast buyers list type of emails, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from doing a lot of mass blasts because it sucks up so much time because we mass text blast, which makes the phone ring like a drug dealer all day long, right? Yeah. And it's just, it'll chew up a whole day. And when we're blasting out to realtors and investors, like, a lot of these people are just going to be tire kickers, wasting a lot of your time. So being able to have a sniper approach, like we'll use that strategy of blasting out still, but our number one method now is going into the software and figuring out who's actually doing what, these flips, and reach out to either that LLC owner or the realtor.
Love it.
That's awesome advice. Awesome advice. Yeah, I feel like exactly what you're saying actually right now. A lot of the mass blast replies are just the tire kickers.
You get, the old school realtors that want to, chew your ear off about wholesaling's illegal, and you get all kinds of people that they get bored. Some of these realtors are bored. They just want to talk. So they're wasting a lot of my guys' time.
The retired grandma that real estate license and knits all day.
Exactly.
And she did her last deal 3 years ago, and
right. She wants to tell you all about it.
She wants to teach you how to do your job, right?
Yeah.
All day long.
Exactly. So
we're actually getting a question coming in from Facebook right now. It's, how are you skip tracing LLCs, and do you recommend any software for doing it?
I don't. So the way that I got most of my buyers was just from going and trading lists and buying lists. It wasn't like I spent this massive skip tracing budget to get all of these LLCs. I've networked. I've been to a part of a lot of really, really good masterminds where, hey, Robert, you're in San Diego. Let me get your San Diego's buyers list. I'll give you my San Diego buyers list. Just list swapping like that. Or if somebody had a good enough list, I'll buy it from them. I spent a lot of money to just outright buy other wholesalers' lists, and then also
spent on buyers lists. I'm curious.
More probably than north of 100K. Combined all together, like 15K here, 10K here. After, and this is like 2 years of accumulating this.
But you get your money back now because you can wholesale anywhere, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, now the thought of ever geographically limiting myself, in the United States doesn't really make a lot of sense, because we can move a property anywhere as long as we got it at the right numbers.
Awesome.
I gotcha. I told Robert Canada next year.
Man, I know I want to go worldwide, but it's harder too. We got to master the U.S. first.
You ever We Buy Houses Switzerland? Have you ever tried that?
No, but I know they do it in the UK and Australia.
They do it everywhere. I did it one night just for shits and giggles. I'm like, I wonder what the international competition is. I put We Buy Houses Switzerland, We Buy Houses Germany, We Buy. It's funny because they're all like trying to do it like America. It's all like, but they're like 10 years behind. So I've always thought, I'm like, man, you could go in these other countries and just crush it. Like their places suck, their marketing sucks. You probably call their numbers and they respond 4 hours later.
Right.
They're not used to the competition like here in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, if I knew the laws and how to get through the transactions, that's the only thing that in my mind. And doing the currency exchange, like I got too much on my plate right now to do that. But in the future, maybe I'll have Asia Pacific division, a South America division, a European division. But right now we're just focusing on the U.S.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you've done it so quickly. What has been the biggest challenge in sort of scaling up your organization to where it is today?
I mean, it's really just comes down to the entrepreneurial, stuff everybody goes through, right? Like your cash cycle in this business kind of sucks. It's a 90-day cash cycle. It's not the best. Yeah, I know you guys, you had Rafael Vargas on, he kind of hit on that too. The same thing, like, you're putting money out and waiting for it to come back. That's been really the toughest part. It's stressful, right, when you're doing that. But if you can manage your cash properly, you're fine. But that's always been kind of my biggest headache in this business is the cash cycle.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's not as bad as flipping. Like flipping is a nightmare. A nightmare.
You can't pay me to flip a property anymore.
It's such a nightmare. The cash cycle on that thing, like you can't scale. Like, I mean, I remember like way back in the day when I worked at Express Home Buyers with Brad Chandler. You know Brad Chandler.
Of course, yeah.
We were trying to scale up. We were doing like 60 projects at a time. We were like almost like bankrupted the company doing it. Like we were not making any money because the cash flows just you can't scale up, right? It's just like you just get a massive amount of cash. There's uncertainties, and then like your estimated versus actual profits never actually work out the way you want it.
No.
Because with wholesaling, that cash conversion cycle is just, you just cut it like by 60% at least minimum.
More
like a SaaS business, right? Where you got monthly recurring revenue. Somebody swipes their card, you're paid out right then. Like, so we deal with a much longer cash cycle. So that's been the biggest headache and challenge in terms of scaling up, because it's a lot of stress, right? We all know the stress that puts on you, especially if you're trying to grow and you're trying to grow fast. It's it's tough. But I mean, above and beyond that, I'm very blessed to have a good team and really good people around me. So
I'd say so. Robert and I talk about this on probably a weekly basis, but I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you see that your salespeople are doing well now that maybe they weren't doing well in the beginning? Like, what's been sort of the key change in your sales team to close it?
It's been such an evolution from when we first started. We were doing everything. Basically, I came from the school of Sean Terry, so that was face-to-face, belly-to-belly, like appointments, right, in homeowners' houses.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there to going and doing it over the phone, and doing it over the phone mediocre, to then going to different masterminds, learning from guys like Raphael, Carlos and Sal, Steven Morales, constantly bringing my team to these events and implementing this information and doing trainings every week. Now, we do it well, but we also have got the kind of junior senior thing going on, which I don't think a lot of people have, but it takes so much time, because think about how much time you spend just trying to get a seller on the phone that wants to sell. Then you get them on the phone and you find out if they're a qualified lead or not. That process right there is the top of funnel that sucks up probably 50 to 60% of your acquisitions time. Yeah. So if you can get people that can do that for them, and just have your closers focusing on the middle to the bottom part of that funnel, it's a game changer.
Now, so I'm guessing you got this. Sounds like something that came from Indeed. Did you get this insight from Indeed? Did you have juniors?
So I did. No, one of the companies I was going to go work for, they tried to recruit me. They're called Trenkite, and they're an Austin startup, and they were killing it. I went in there for a couple of interviews, and I was like, man, so you guys are going to have people just basically like lobbing me leads all day, right? Yeah. And I was like, this is such a smart way of doing it. So this was from another company, and then I realized, a bunch of other sales companies do it. It's the same thing. If you've ever seen the movie Boiler Room, right? When he passes the phone to Vin Diesel, when you get somebody on the phone, it's the same thing, just for our business.
Love it.
Yeah.
So your senior acquisitions person is the only one allowed to negotiate with the seller and give out
correct. So we have 3 of them. We have 3 juniors and 3 seniors. But the entire job of junior acquisitions is getting these people on the phone, finding out do they have a house to sell, when do they want to sell it. They don't even get an asking price. They get, all right, great, let me get my home buying specialist on the phone. He'll be able to take a look at your property and then get you an offer. Give me 1 second, and then he'll literally live transfer it on our hard phones over to our seniors.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what
our guys will DQ it real quick.
What system do you use for that? Is it like 8x8 or one of those, or
what phone system do we use?
Yeah.
We use Nextiva.
Nextiva. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one.
We use Nextiva and CallRail. Those are our 2 phone systems.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So you do a hard transfer right then and there.
Right then and there, live in the office, and it's like Boiler Room. They're like, they'll put the phone on me. Yo, who's available? And somebody will raise their hand. Yeah, I got it. Somebody will raise their hand. All right, I'm going to transfer you over to Kyler, our home buying specialist, and then they'll get them on a warm transfer. So they'll be like, hey, Miss Jones, I've got Kyler here on the line for you. Kyler, this is Miss Jones. And then Kyler will, hey, Miss Jones, and then the junior will hang up the phone and on to the next call.
I love that. By the way, I gotta give a tip here for people that are watching. So I've been using Mojo for years for cold calling. And then Carlos Reyes, Josh, you had him on the show a few weeks back, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling us how Mojo sucks. He was getting like 1 deal a month. And then he switched to Zen Call. And then with Zen Call, all of a sudden he did like $1 million off cold calling the next year after just switching softwares. So I just tried it with Tarek's team. And one of the first of all, Zen Call is way better than Mojo. The UI sucks, like completely confusing UI. But once you figure out the UI, the actual functionality is like gold. One of the really cool things that they have is the live transfer feature. And the cool thing is you can play live transfer music. So our plan was, let's go get Tarek El Moussa. You hear his voice on HGTV every single week, 20 million people listening to it. Let's get him to record a commercial. Then whatever we're doing transferring or we're running comps, like right now we're running comps. We're like, hey, we'll call you back in 10 minutes. We'll call you back in 20 minutes or whatever. Instead of saying we'll call you back, we keep the line on, play this commercial of Tarek just like indoctrinating them of why they need to sell to him and why realtors are horrible and all this. Just
I think that's beautiful.
Time, and then you jump back home and like they're ready to sell, right?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
That's a Forrest Blackburn, by the way. I know he's watching right now. He's the new head of sales at Tarek Buys Houses. He came up with that idea. I thought it was freaking killer. Nick, you got to try that. Let me know how it works.
I will. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
Guys, we're almost out of time. If you got a question here on Dealmaker Nation tonight, please post it up on Facebook or YouTube for Nick Perry. I did have another question myself. So it sounds like you're doing some Facebook marketing now as well. How would you compare? How would you compare the returns on that to sort of PPC?
It's still too early to tell, really, because I just started it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, reach out to me in like a month or two. I'll be able to give you, some real world answers with no fluff attached to it. But right now, I can't really tell. I can tell you we're generating a lot of leads for, low cost per lead. Right around like $30. But
crazy cheap.
Yeah, and I know we've got properties under contract from that already, but I don't know what the actual return is going to shake out to be. But yeah.
We got to have you back on the show then in a few weeks and do a little live special on how it worked out. Man, when I was on Brad's team, we spent $50,000 on Facebook across 3 different teams, 3 of the top Facebook marketing teams. You know how many deals we got?
How many?
That many.
Oh, man. Dude, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Because the motivation isn't there, It's not like with Facebook, the problem is like when people are on Google, they're like, how to sell my house fast.
Right, the intent.
Killing time, There's not that motivation there. So that was the problem we had. But I know Facebook's getting better since then. So maybe it's different or it's different in different markets. But I got crushed.
Yeah, I will tell you we had one that she submitted on Facebook. We already got this one under contract, but she submitted on Facebook, and then 30 minutes later, she submitted again on her website. So I don't know if she must have been super motivated. So you have people that are more motivated than others, but we do. I've talked to my acquisition team. The quality on Facebook is definitely less than PPC.
Yeah, for sure. But it's so cheap that it might make sense. It's a volume game. We got a question coming in from John Ma. John Ma, he runs the DMV group on DMV on Dealmaker Nation. John Ma is asking us, what does Nick suggest to the struggling wholesaler just trying to get off the ground? What should they do? What should they focus on?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to commit, right? When I was in the business, really struggling, about to get evicted from my apartment, handwriting letters, I came to a point, I was like, does this really make sense? Like, what am I even doing this for, right? And something just clicked to me. I was like, I haven't got this far to only come this far. Yeah. And that was my mentality. It's like, you've already gone through, all the pain of having to watch all these freaking YouTube videos, talk to all these damn sellers, like learn all this information, you're already in pain. You might as well get a reward for it, like Eric Thomas says. You know what I'm saying? So it just comes down to that. Yeah, that's, I'd say, probably one of the defining, characteristics of my success. Like I said in the show earlier, is I barely made it through high school, but I've just got that mentality. Like, if I put my mind to something, like it's hell or high water. Like I'm stubborn in that aspect. So you just have to have that grit and tenacity to, not give up no matter how shitty it gets, because it's going to suck. But I don't care what business you decide to go into. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's a 99% failure rate in any business. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, strap up, have some cojones and be ready for, the ups and downs, and, just make it happen. Be that 1%. You can't be that 1%. Amazon warehouse is hiring. So
like everyone else goes to 80, you go to 110. You get in the car and you drive from Austin down to San Antonio.
Do whatever it takes.
Whatever. Retreat and get in the car and drive to some random PPC guy to learn how to do PPC so you can manage it on your own. Like you do what other people aren't willing to do. And that's why you're making $165,000 a week and other people are still stuck in their 9 to 5.
Yeah. But you got to understand, I did not take a break. When I decided to do this, when I was working my 9 to 5, I had my 9 to 5 and then I had my 6 to 2, right? So 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then do it all over again. And on the weekends, I didn't take any vacations. I wasn't chilling in the Dominican Republic, the first 4 years of my freaking real estate career. It was like, I got to do whatever it takes to be successful and make something of my life. So, now I have a really good team. I can take nice vacations and things, but it's not going to be that way for the first couple of years of any business that I know of. So, yeah.
But it's worth it. I mean, look at you. You're chilling in the Dominican. You just crushed it last week. Your team is loving it. You're loving it. I mean, you could do your job anywhere as long as you have Wi-Fi and a phone, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to give this guy just a generic answer like that. You really got to surround yourself with good people too. It's not like I just willed myself and bootstrapped with raw tenacity. That's a big proponent of it. But additionally, you need to be vulnerable and coachable and put yourself in good rooms like the one we're in right now, and find a mentor and coaches to be able to save you from making a lot of those costly mistakes. And you got to just have a good tribe of people. Like you should make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to bring you up in this business. That's also super important. I had some amazing people in my life that have helped me out tremendously.
Awesome.
We got to wrap this up soon, but we got to plug Robert from Investor Lift. I mean, he's been influential in my life already as an investor. It's been a very short time, but
thanks, guys.
You got to tell us how influential Robert has been in your investing career.
You know what? When Robert came across me, he said, I think the first message he hit me with on Facebook, he was like, hey, I work with investors making $250 to $350 to get them to $1 million. And I was like, I'm making like 7 figures a year. And he was like, I'm talking about a month. And I was like, who is this guy saying he's going to make 7 figures a month? Like, all right, this guy better not be bullshit. Right. So I get on a call with him, and next thing you know, he just starts dropping game on hey, this is my background. This is what we're able to do for, a few other companies. I was like, send me proof. I'm a show me kind of person. So he did. He backed up everything that he said he was going to do. And you know what the thing about Robert is not only does he have this insane intellect, he's like a savant when it comes to, what he does in the business. I haven't seen anybody that I've been more impressed with, really on the technical side of this business. And he's got the work ethic though to back it up. One big thing about me is, we'll have a good working relationship if you just do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, and just be honest, right? And that's what you get with Robert. Anytime he says he's going to do something, he does it. So, and he goes above and beyond. He'll be like, hey, I got that already done. And by the way, I did, this, that, and the third as well. That's just how he rolls. So, it's been tremendous because he streamlined my my entire digital process basically. So now things are optimized to, be much more efficient.
You guys were on OnCare, right? Can you explain for the people that or maybe are on OnCare why you switched from OnCare to InvestorLift and what that did for your business?
Yeah, our buyer site was on OnCare, but we talked about OnCare. It's a great site. It works, but when you have people bouncing from your freaking landing page because it's not loading fast enough, this is 2020. If it doesn't load up like that, they're out. You know what I mean? You're losing traffic, you're losing buyers, you're losing people's interest. If the UI isn't slick right now, like you're done. So, being able to have that is huge. And then on the back end of it, on the back end of your site, all of my buyers are uploaded into Investor.
Yeah, that was a marathon getting those loaded.
That was a 3-month ordeal, and you got them all geared.
There's wives jumping in to help out. It was like we're talking like 24/7 cleaning your buyer list for like 30 days. It was crazy. We got it done.
Yep, and they're all geotagged and organized. So now my dispositions, say we get a deal in Washington D.C., they can go ahead and press a button, and it's going to email all of our buyers in Washington D.C. because Robert's got it. So it's geotagged. It'll pull from D.C., Maryland, and Virginia and hit that region, and then we can also text blast them as well, and drives traffic back to the site, and they're able to the buyers can not only view the property, but it's cool because it's got a link. They can just click to call your dispositions. So they'll get on the phone. Hey, I see this property on 123 Main Street. Tell me more about it. Next thing you know, you're having an active conversation about this person purchasing a property because you pushed a button a few minutes ago. It's phenomenal.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I got to ask you one question. Can you share your revenue or like what kind of revenue growth you've seen since? I think we started in January, right? Like what kind of percentage revenue growth have you seen from January to where you are this month?
Probably like 25 to 30%. Just we had COVID, right?
Yeah.
We got everybody got punched in the mouth with COVID. But we're doing well now, and we did well through it. But it was a hit for everybody. So and then but having the site has definitely increased our revenue in regards to definitely on dispositions for sure, and then increased conversion rate on acquisitions for seller leads coming in. So 25 to 30% when I'm already here, and we're still coming up with new stuff all the time. So I don't see that slowing down.
Love that you guys are getting.
It took us 3 months just to get it set up because my buyers list is
huge. And
it's cumbersome. It's not just one area; it's the entire nation.
Yeah, try loading that into your Podio account. Good luck with that.
Correct.
Man, I know we got to let you go to the beach here, but the questions keep pouring in on Facebook. Someone's actually asking, "Is there anything you've done or regret doing in this business?"
Anything I regret doing in this business? I regret probably not getting a coach right away. I think that was, when I told you it took me 11 months to get my first deal, not only was I learning sales from Indeed, but that's when I plugged in with Sean Terry and started going and like flying out to Phoenix and doing Sean Terry masterminds and like having him really like dive in and help me out. And then like pretty soon after I got back from those, like I was locking up deals, pretty consistently. And I probably could have saved myself, a solid, 9 months out of the 11 months of pain if I would have been so hard-headed and just, tried to free 99 my education. Pay for your freaking education. That was probably my biggest one is find a mentor that resonates with you and pay them what they're worth, right? Find the best in the business and work with them. So that was one thing I regret.
Nick, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Nick Perry, REI.
All right. And finally, any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Just stay after it for anybody who's getting into the business. If there's one thing you're going to take away from me is, it's just going to be the raw tenacity portion of it. Success doesn't happen overnight. don't get fooled by this freaking beach in the background, right? You're going to have to work to get to where you're going. So it's possible, though. I mean, my life's completely changed because of this business, and I'm just getting started. So, that's pretty much final thoughts for me.
I love it.
Awesome. Guys, we've been here with the mad scientist, Sir Robert Wensley. Nick, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Awesome content. 165 grand a week. Unreal.
That's insane. Absolutely insane. Guys, if you're watching this, by the way, like Nick just gave the roadmap to go from nothing, not doing any deals, writing thousands of letters till 2 a.m. every night, to doing $165,000 a week, being able to peace out to the Dominican Republic whenever, right? Just having that financial freedom, complete financial freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and just enjoying your life absolutely every day and not being tied to anything, running your entire business completely virtually. There's only a few people in this country that do that. And I think I could probably count them on my hand how many people do it at your scale. Maybe, I don't even know if it's one hand. So, I mean, this is the roadmap. So if you appreciate this, by the way, show your appreciation down in the comments below. Give Nick some love here for coming on and sharing all this. Nick doesn't get paid for this. We don't get paid for this. Share your comments below. If you have questions for Nick, would you be available to answer questions people post their?
Yeah, I mean, I do Zoom consultations. So for other business owners, like if you want to jump on and do like a Zoom consultation, we can do a Zoom consultation. Just message me. I charge for it, but yeah, it's going to be well worth what you pay. So if you need something, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. All right. So guys, if you enjoyed this, like this video, smash the like button. You can't just click on it. You got to just destroy that like button. Hit the notifications bell. So every single week when we have new content, you're getting notified about it. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure to join Dealmaker Nation on Facebook, DMV Dealmakers in the DC area, Charleston Dealmakers, Florida Dealmakers. We got a few different groups going for different areas. Nick, this has been absolutely incredible. It's been so awesome having you on the show. I've wanted to get you on here for so long, and so glad that we could finally get you on here and that you could share a couple hours from the beach. I know that beach looks very tempting behind you. So thanks for joining us. Go hit that bar, go hit that beach, have some fun, and let's have you on the show again sometime soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks much, Nick. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Bye.